So, welcome everyone to the third annual RCE Youth Virtual Conference. My name is Tiago Essinger, and I'm a third-year undergraduate student at Georgia Tech and Leadership Circle member for the RCE Greater Atlanta. For those of you who are new to the RCEs, they are regional centers of expertise on education for sustainable development, and our networks officially recognized by United Nations University to quote, translate global objectives into the context of the local communities in which they operate. So this year's Youth Virtual Conference is co-hosted by the RCE Greater Atlanta and RCE Georgetown in South Carolina, also known as Georgetown Rise. And we have adopted a very different format than previous years. So instead of your typical conference format with RCEs from the Americas, we decided to focus our event on the impact that the COVID-19 pandemic has had on youth mental health, finances, and sustainable development work today, specifically on university students. So we recognize that there are various ways that the pandemic has altered our lives, and the three which we have chosen to highlight are just that, highlights. They by no means represent all of the possible ways this pandemic has changed us and those we love, but we believe that at least one of them, if not more, is relevant to all of us. So before we get started with introductions and an overview of the event agenda, I would like to take 30 seconds of silence for reflection and out of respect for the victims of this global pandemic. So please join me in silence. All right, thank you. So I would like to first introduce our amazing planning team, with which none of this would have been possible without them. So as I say your name, just go ahead and unmute your videos if you haven't already, and wave to let us recognize you. So Destiny Whitaker is an undergraduate student at Spelman College and co-lead of the RCE Greater Atlanta Speakers Bureau, and she'll be the moderator for our mental health panel. Mallory Panuelo is an undergraduate student at Coastal Carolina University and UN Youth Corps ambassador for Georgetown Rise. She will also be a moderator for our mental health panel. For the finances panel, Semline Delva is the program coordinator of leadership and civic engagement at Kennesaw State University and leadership circle member of the RCE Greater Atlanta, and she will be the moderator for our finances panel. And I'll be the chat moderator and timekeeper for this panel as well. We also have Derek Storzieri, an undergraduate student at Coastal Carolina University and UN Youth Corps ambassador for Georgetown Rise. He will be the moderator for our sustainable development panel. And Michelle Zarenda, graduate student at Coastal Carolina University and graduate assistant for Georgetown Rise, and she'll be the chat moderator and timekeeper for our sustainable development panel. And also thank you to the Atlanta Global Studies Center for including us in this year's Atlanta Global Studies Symposium. And a huge shout out to our 13 amazing panelists for today's event. So if possible, let me share my screen and we can get started with an overview of the agenda for today. Here we go. Alrighty, so right now we are in this 15-minute introduction piece. We're also going to have some introductions from and presentations from both RCEs, which are presenting this event. Then we're going to have 60-minute panel sessions on mental health, finances, and sustainable development. These panel sessions are going to be held in breakout rooms in Zoom. And we'll talk a little bit more later on about how you can navigate to that. And then we're gonna finish with a 10-minute event wrap up and discussion. We wanna hear from you how this event went, what you learned from it and your thoughts. So I would actually like to introduce Semlene, if you want to talk about the RCE Greater Atlanta.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here with us. I would like to take a moment just to recognize all of you all for being here today. Thank you for joining us in such a powerful discussion that we're about to have today. So next slide, Tiago. RCE Greater Atlanta is comprised of, it's a network. We're not comprised like an organization, is decentralized, member driven. So members from higher ed institutions, businesses, nonprofit organizations, government sectors all come together to get the work of sustainability done. It's distributed throughout different networks. We're adaptive. That means things are always changing, and it's generative. So we generate ideas together, get programs done, get things done, implement things just to focus on the 2030 goals of accomplishing the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Next slide. So our guiding principles is building intergenerational relationships. All of you here are either college students or either work in higher ed institutions, and RCE Greater Atlanta seeks to foster those relationships, not only with K through 12 college students, but also with the generations that came before us. And so this being able to work together all throughout the generations creates long-term sustainable change. We're committing to equity as a core network. RCE provides structure to build on gifts. What I love about the network is we get to come together just like this, create an awesome session for the Atlanta Global Studies Symposium and see the success of this work. And so our gifts and our ideas always come together to build great programs. Everything is led by our members in advancing the core work, and it's very unique. And we're committed to being advocates for the SDGs. We are advocates. Even you all here in the conference today are advocates for the SDGs. Next. Our mission is a network committed to leveraging educational resources for regional implementation of the Global Sustainable Development Goals, and with a focus on equity and justice. And so again, reiterating that we're a network of people coming together to be advocates for the Sustainable Development Goals. Next. And lastly, just kind of our three core goals that we work on is advance SDG knowledge and action, model inclusive and collaborative community. And our favorite one here, because we are all part of this youth network, is nurture strong youth leadership. It is something that we strive upon. Tiago and I, and Destiny, who's on this call, who are part of RCE Greater Atlanta, we have a passion to seeing our younger folks, our college students, our K through 12 students get passionate about creating a just world, a better world where future generations can live forever and ever. So yeah, thank you. And now we will have Mallory and Rick, who will talk to us about Georgetown Rise.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Mallory. I'm one of the UN Youth Corps ambassadors for Georgetown Rise. Next slide, please. So we are RCE Georgetown, but locally we're known as Georgetown Rise. Rise meaning resilience, innovation, and sustainability through education. And what we do is we go out into the community and we educate the students in our community, and we educate local business owners and local government officials, and we bring them a scientific and research-based perspective. And what we're hoping to do here is to collaborate with these businesses and government officials and create a dialogue for sustainability, and specifically for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And through that, we've created the UN Youth Corps internship program. Next slide.
Hi, everyone. My name is Derek. I'm one of the RCE Georgetown interns and current sustainability ambassadors. I'm going to talk a little bit about the wonderful opportunities we've had while participating in this program. First of all, we are funded by the Francis Spinell Foundation, which is wonderful, the amount of grant money and the opportunities that we have thanks to their generosity. So for some of our education in action, what we're necessarily framing this on is a framework known as the Sendai Framework that the United Nations drafted back in 2015 to address 17 of the most underlying issues throughout the entire world, and to promote these goals in a way that if countries were to adopt them, it would be very reflective of a much more sustainable environment and sustainable nations as a whole. One of the beauties of this opportunity is this research allows students to operate and engage with the community directly. I've had the great pleasure of speaking to 2 separate mayors of different counties, some economic planners, individuals in the healthcare industry, and really getting involved at a very down-to-earth grassroots level, which is something that I think a lot of other internships or the United Nations as a whole, being that it's a transnational organization, a lot of the time there's this perspective that they don't really go back down to the smaller opportunities that they have within communities. And this is a great opportunity that we've had to engage with our community directly and to see change happening through some of the work that we've been doing. So I'll speak to a little bit about what I've done. I've created a dashboard in Tableau in an effort to hopefully bring some transparency to the Georgetown community by identifying some of the prominent sustainability development goals, such as no poverty, health and well-being, and things of that nature. Again, if you'd like to, I'll be discussing that more in my panel. So yeah, next slide, please.
I think that's it, Rick, for this presentation. But so thank you to both groups, actually, RCE Greater Atlanta and Georgetown Rise. I'm going to stop screen sharing for now. And without further ado, we're going to get to the part I think everyone has been waiting for here, the different panel sessions. So we have one focused on mental health, finances, and sustainable development work. The breakout rooms should all be created at the moment, and you should all have the option to choose which breakout session you would want to be. So we will meet back here for around 10 minutes at the end for some concluding discussions. But till then, see you all in a few on the other side.